So it was a scam. I feel like that has to be like the worst faith interpretation. I think if an event is successful and raises $1.3 million for charity on their first go around, their big plan isn't like, oh my God, and this next time we run it, we're going to make, money for ourselves.
Alright, so in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how Ludwig is reacting to the creator clash situation now that iDubbz and Anisa have stepped back. And generally speaking, he is getting criticized for his reaction to the situation and his take on the situation. So if you want the full context for what actually happened regarding the creator clash situation and the finances and all that, then I've actually made a video on that, so you can go check that out. But just to give you a very quick summary, I'm just gonna say that here's what happened, right? So creator clash 1 happened, and that was a huge success, and they made 1.3 million for charity, over 1.3 million for charity. And then creator clash 2 happened, and that unfortunately was not a success, and it really didn't do well, and so that was a pretty big disappointment. But then now creator clash 3 is going to be happening, and the thing with creator clash 3 is that the main controversy was that it turned out that once iDubbz and Anisa were stepping down from that, it turns out that they originally had a 34% profit share from creator clash 3. And so this was the crazy thing about all of this, because creator clash has always been presented as a charity event, right? So the whole idea is that the money going into this is going to be for charitable causes, and the problem here was that 34% profit share is an insane amount of money for a charity event, and this was the thing that people were criticizing them for. And then now Ludwig is reacting to this whole situation. So without further ado, I'm just gonna give you the clip right here so you can check it out.
So it was a scam. I feel like that has to be like the worst faith interpretation. I think if an event is successful and raises $1.3 million for charity on their first go around, their big plan isn't like, oh my God, and this next time we run it, we're going to make, money for ourselves. Now that we've raised the 1.3 million for charity, now we get to make some money of our own. You would just take the 1.3 mil on the first go around. Like 1.3 mil is a lot of money, bro. That's hella bread. So I feel like you're just not, if you're looking at it in a vacuum, yeah, I think you could call that a scam, but you're ignoring the context of the first one that was hella successful.
Running right now.
Is money paid not towards charity until event costs are paid? Yeah, but presumably. Because where else is the money coming from? And I guess, do you guys consider that a scam? Because to me, that makes sense. That's how it should operate.
Alright, so as you just saw, Ludwig was actually defending iDubbz and the whole money split situation with creator clash 3. Because he said that, hey, if someone makes over like $1.3 million in their first, charity event, then they're not going to be going into the second one with this mentality of like, oh, now let's make money for ourselves. And I think he's using this logic of like, okay, well, they've done this really good thing once. And so if the second time they're doing it, of course, they're still going to have good intentions and all that. Now, the thing about all of this is that you have to understand that they changed the way that the money was going to be split for the third event. So, it's not the exact same model. They've made changes, they've restructured the way that the money was going to be split. So this time there was going to be a 34% profit share that was going to be going to iDubbz and Anisa, and I believe there was like a 20% profit share for the other creators. It was going to be split evenly amongst them. And so yeah, that is a pretty huge amount of money that isn't going to charity for an event that was called a charity event. That's really where the whole controversy started, because it was being marketed as a charity event. If this was just a regular event, just a for-profit event, then no one would have any issue with this. People would be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But because it was actually being marketed as a charity event, that was the main issue, because a lot of people would have perhaps contributed to this event just because they were like, hey, I wouldn't have financially contributed to this otherwise. However, sure, yeah, I will do that this time because specifically this event is a charity event. I want to contribute and I want to help out. Now, really quickly, before I continue, I just want to mention that I'm trying to really grow this channel, and so something that would really help me out is if you could subscribe to my channel. It would really, really mean a lot to me if you could do that. Now, with all that being said, guys, back to the video. Alright, now Ludwig actually makes some points beyond that in another clip, so I'm just gonna show you that clip right now so you can just check this out. You can hear what he says.
I feel like people get real bad faith or virtue signal-y when it comes to charity stuff. Yeah, maybe grandstandy. I don't know the exact word. But I feel like when the word charity is hit, people are like, heavens. And everyone acts like every act of charity needs to be some higher than thou act that is selfless. And maybe I'm cynical, but I think that's dumb. And I think charities also understand that that's dumb. And most incredibly successful charities understand that it's a business and things need to be able to operate not just one time, but consistently many times. And the only way to do that is if it doesn't burn a bunch of money along the way. So if you're doing an annual event, but you lose $100,000 doing it, even if you raise $50 million for charity, you can't do that forever because you're losing money. Money has to come from somewhere.
All right, so basically Ludwig makes the point that just because it's a charity event doesn't mean that, they shouldn't have some level of understanding that somehow the operational costs of the event itself do have to be paid and it shouldn't be losing them money. And so I think he's basically trying to say that, if they themselves have to pay the operational costs of the event, then it won't be sustainable, because let's say they can do it once, but then after that they won't really be able to afford to do it again because they're having to pay for all these operational costs out of pocket. And the thing about this is that that's not really the issue here. I think people don't really have as much of an issue with that, because it's like, okay, fine, we get it, yeah, sure, the operational costs are going to be met first, and then after that there's going to be the money for the charity. Fair enough. But the thing here is that I think people really had the problem with just how much of the money was actually being contributed into the profits, because that's not just meeting the operational costs, right? Those are profits that people are making. And so the real problem was actually just how 34% of the profit share was just going to Ian and Anisa, two people. So that was, I think, the main controversy. I don't think people really had that much of a problem with the operational costs thing, because if you have a successful event, yeah, you're going to meet the operational costs pretty quickly with your revenue. And then everything beyond that, once you've subtracted the operational costs, all the revenue beyond that is just going to be for charity. So it's going to be a really, really good charity event. And none of the operational costs would actually be from the pockets of the people that were organizing it. But the main problem here, of course, was that, on top of all of this, they were also taking profit. And so, yeah, man, two people, Ian and Anisa, taking 34% of the profit share, that was something that really, really shocked a lot of people, given the sort of charity nature of this event. So I think that point was actually what was the main reason that people were criticizing the way that the event was organized. So yeah, guys, that's my take on it. That's how I understand the situation. And with all that being said, guys, this is Alexi signing out.